Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. This is a donation reward for Sweet Venom, and a movie I never thought I would ever watch. I never really had an interest in it because it's a stoner comedy, and I'm not typically into stoner comedies. A lot of them are extremely cringy to me and just not that entertaining. But, I'm willing to give anything a shot at least once. But there's also the fact that I can't stand White Castle. White Castle is fucking nasty. A lot of people joke about how White Castle gives you the shits and everything. Um, a lot of people say that about Taco Bell too, and Taco Bell doesn't do that for me. But um, I don't think I've ever had that issue with White Castle either. And my issue is that it's just gross. It doesn't taste good. Like the meat tastes gross. Granted, I don't think I've had their chicken, so I don't know about how their chicken tastes or anything, but I typically don't like White Castle. If it's offered to me, I'll probably eat it just because it's me. If food is offered to me, I'll almost always eat it. I am a fat ass. Also, I really don't like denying people when they offer me things because it just makes me feel bad. So there's that as well. But it's yeah, I typically don't like it. I would never get it on my own terms. Um, but yeah, so I don't know what to expect from this. I expect it's gonna be stupid, cringy, and have a lot of stoner shit in it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's ignoring the food. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar in kind of comedic style to something like Sausage Party. And it's just and that worries me a little bit because Sausage Party had racism in it, so I do genuinely get bothered by that shit. So, but it's I don't know. I've seen both of the actors in other things. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is Cal Penn was in House MD. I also know he worked for Obama for a time, and it's okay, but it's yeah. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. But there are apparently three of these. There's this one, there's Guantanamo Bay, and then there's a Christmas special, I guess. Which it's oh, okay. Um, Makes me think of that time Snoop Dogg was playing Moses when rapping against Santa Claus in the epic rap battles of history. Um, but yeah, yeah. We'll see how it goes. That's really all I can say. Um, let's just get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, this is kind of what I expected. A lot of these kinds of stoner comedies and all include a lot of the same things within them. You got to have obviously a notable focus on, drugs to some degree. There's going to be nudity, and there's going to be a lot of offensive shit. In the case of this, there is sexism, racism, um, uh, homophobia. It's really bad. And mind you, I will give the movie this. It paints it as bad. Um, the people who are saying this kind of stuff are bad people, like racist cops, for example. Um, these punks who are just these terrible like assholes and everything, and they get their comeuppance in the end. They do, and I will give this movie credit for that because not every movie does that. Not every movie actually like paints it as negatively as it does and shows that it's a bad thing, and has the bad people face justice for it. Um, and this movie is crass, raunchy, and stupid as well. The entire battle shits joke, it's like I've heard that before. I guess this might be where that came from. It's really fucking dumb. It's really stupid and crass and just this is not what adult humor is. I've ranted about this in the past. Adult humor is not just making shit jokes and, sex jokes and stuff like that. That's childish, ironically enough. Um, and it's like, there's also a lot of, let's be honest, stereotypes in this. With the entire, like, Indian parents wanting their son to become a doctor and everything and being overbearing about that, and the idea that he's just naturally gifted at it because of that, and Harold being super smart and working in like a business office kind of setting. um and again, it's like the racism is actively disavowed by the movie. It actively tells you that racism is bad in the movie, and makes it very clear that the only people saying that kind of shit are the bad guys. And it empowers Harold and Kumar as characters. And in the end, they get to have a good time and they get what they want. They succeed in their mission to get White Castle. Harold gets his car back. He gets to tell off his superior from work. Kumar has a plan to deal with his father and everything. And it's like, it actually has a very happy ending. Harold even gets to get the girl that he was pining after. It empowers the characters. And you might be confused right now, because it's like, I'm talking all this shit about this movie, but then I'm also praising it in certain aspects. It's like, oh, this movie has all this racism and homophobia and sexism and stuff in it. This movie is, it utilizes stereotypes for its main characters and all this. But it also makes sure that the racism and other stuff like that is shown to be bad. It also makes it so that our main characters are, validated in the end. And that's kind of my view on this movie. A lot of the shit is hard to sit through. A lot of the racism and sexism and homophobia is hard to sit through. And for good reason. It should be. But the fact that it does treat it as a bad thing and does showcase that it is a negative and even does punish those who engaged in it is honestly very cathartic. And the fact that the characters are validated in the end, that they do get to, stand up for themselves and just, have a good time and succeed and everything is actually good to see. And so I guess my overall thoughts on this would be, it's hard to sit through at times, but the good kind of makes up for the bad. I would not call this movie great by any means. It's not a great movie. Um, the good makes up for the bad, but that doesn't bring it into great territory. I would say it's okay. Um, there is some humor that really works in it. There is some absurdity, of course, of it that you expect in a stoner movie. Let's be honest. The dream sequence with the hamburgers and everything was ridiculous. The cheetah was ridiculous. Neil Patrick Harris was ridiculous. It's like, yeah, there's some silliness in this for sure that you would expect with the stoner comedy. And a lot of that stuff was actually some of the best stuff of this movie. Just when it just kind of goes off the rails, which is weird because I usually don't like that stuff in these kind of movies. Um, but this movie and The Big Lebowski actually did those kind of things really well. And I would definitely give credit where it's due there. Um, the nudity was like fine. It was handled fine, I guess. It's handled in a way you would expect with this kind of movie, with the again the kind of absurdity of it. Like first we see like a college party. It's like yeah, it's kind of what you think of when you think of a lot of college parties, a lot of drinking, drugs, sex, and nudity. It's like where were those college parties when I was in school? Um, that was never a thing for me. Maybe it's just because I didn't go to like a university or anything. I went to like a smaller school. We had dorms, but that kind of thing never happened. Um, but yeah, and then the second time I believe is when they were at Freak Show's place, um, because of the wife and everything was like just it seemed like they had an open relationship, but Freak Show also was very confused about that. I don't know. Um, but she was all game for it. She's like, "Are you gonna fuck me or not?" And it's just showing off her, admittedly, really nice tits to them and everything. But they got out of there obviously before anything happened. Um, and then of course we had the the tits shown when Neil Patrick Harris was driving by. Which again, it's just really weird hearing him talk about getting it on with women and then showing him like grabbing some tits when it's like when he's gay. Uh, it's just it's weird. It's like he's gay. I know. I know he's an actor. I know this is just a role. I know that, but still, he's playing himself. Like it's a fictionalized version of himself, of course, but it's still himself. So that's just weird as hell to me. Um, and on top of it, I don't know. I don't know. It's just it's weird. Um, but yeah, it was it was an interesting movie. I can say that for sure. Um, and like I said in the reaction, it's like if you like White Castle, that's fine. It's like I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to yuck your yum or anything here. I just don't. I don't like White Castle at all. I think it's gross as hell. Granted, I haven't had it in a long time. Maybe they changed the recipes and gotten better, but this is also an older movie, so it's like, uh, it's just I don't see what people see in it. Like, does anyone genuinely like it, or is that just kind of a joke? And if you do, again, that's fine. But it's like I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone genuinely liking White Castle. It's like Taco Bell, Arby's, Wendy's, and pretty much everywhere else. It's like, yeah, I hear about that all the time. But White Castle? And again, if you like it, that's fine. I'm not like trying to mock you or make fun of you or anything. Like what you like. Just I'm just sharing my opinions, you know. um, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll get some. I know they sell them at grocery stores. Maybe I'll get some White Castle there just to try it again, give it a chance. Um, I know I said I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it, but maybe just for the shits and giggles, maybe for a video. I don't know. Granted, that's not like fresh White Castle, but that actually might make it better. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, this was interesting. Again, it wasn't like bad. If they didn't like punish the racists and all of them at the end, and if they didn't like punish like, or if they didn't like showcase how negative all of that was, I think I would probably dislike it a lot more. But because they did do that, they went out of their way to empower Harold and Kumar as characters and had them succeed and win in the end. I think that's what helps this movie along. Um, I think it has a lot of redeeming value, and I could see why a lot of people would like it. And the weed stuff, there wasn't really any alcohol stuff in this. Like alcohol might have been mentioned maybe once or twice, but that's about it. And it's like I can't even think of when it would have been. Um, but again, there was like all the weed stuff, all the nudity and sex stuff. It's like that stuff doesn't bother me at all. Um, I mean, I've smoked weed. It's really not that big a deal. I drink, obviously, and while I personally haven't had sex, I'm personally very okay with it. And I have seen people naked in real life, believe it or not. I've just not never had sex. Um, but yeah, it's like all of that's fine. It's just the really cringy and offensive stuff that can a lot of times bother me with these kind of movies. So again, I'm glad that they made it clear how how bad that kind of thing is. Um, so yeah, but there are two other movies apparently in this franchise, so maybe we'll end up reacting to them. Maybe they'll end up being better than this one. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts on Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.